For as long as anyone could remember, Anthony was a man of unwavering faith. He adhered strictly to his beliefs, living a life of piety and dedication. He was neither from here nor there, a stranger in every land, yet at home in his faith. To his neighbors, he was the kind man who never missed a service, who always had a kind word, and who spoke of the afterlife with a gleam in his eye. It was that gleam, that fervor, that gave Anthony his purpose and drive. Anthony's modest home was filled with relics and texts of his devotion, each corner a shrine to his beliefs. He took great solace in the thought of the afterlife, a paradise that awaited those who were faithful. He often dreamed of it, waking up with a serene smile, assured that his life was on the righteous path. One crisp autumn evening, Anthony sat down in his favorite armchair, a steaming bowl of soup in hand. It was a ritual of sorts. Every Friday night, he would watch his favorite TV show, a wholesome program that always left him feeling uplifted. As the theme music played, he settled in, feeling a wave of contentment wash over him. He took a spoonful of the soup, savoring the rich flavor. The warmth spread through him, and he felt an inexplicable sense of peace. That peace was shattered in an instant. A piece of vegetable lodged in his throat. Anthony's eyes widened in shock, the spoon clattering to the floor. He tried to cough, to breathe, but the obstruction was solid, immovable. Panic set in as he clawed at his throat, the edges of his vision blurring. He stumbled from the chair, knocking over a lamp in his desperation. His lungs burned, his heart pounded, and darkness crept in from the edges of his vision. As he fell to the floor, gasping for breath that would not come, a strange calmness washed over him. This was it, he realized. This was his end. He closed his eyes, and his spirit began to detach from his body. For a moment, he hovered above, looking down at himself with a mixture of curiosity and relief. The pain was gone. The struggle was over. He was free. Anthony smiled, feeling a warmth that surpassed anything he had ever felt in life. He looked up, expecting to see a radiant light, a celestial hand reaching out to guide him to his eternal reward. But there was no light, no hand, only a cold, empty void. His smile faltered, then vanished entirely as a chilling realization washed over him. His spirit was leaving his body, but his consciousness, his self, was bound to it. He watched in growing horror as his spirit began to ascend, leaving him behind. He tried to move, to follow, but he was tethered, unable to escape the lifeless shell on the floor. Panic set in again, but this time it was a deeper, more existential dread. He could see his spirit drifting away, serene and unburdened, while he remained. His body was unmoving, growing cold. His awareness writhed in horror, understanding with a dawning clarity that he was trapped. The afterlife he had so fervently believed in, the paradise he had longed for, was slipping away, and he was powerless to stop it. Anthony's consciousness tried to scream, but there was no sound. He tried to reach out, to grasp at anything that might pull him away from the darkness, but there was nothing. Just the still, silent room, the flickering images on the TV, and his own lifeless body. As hours turned to days and days to weeks, Anthony's horror only deepened. He watched as his body decayed, as the world moved on without him. The afterlife, the reward he had dedicated his life to achieving, was forever out of reach. His spirit had moved on, leaving him behind, unable to find peace. And there, in the cold, silent void, Anthony understood the true nature of his existence. He was not his faith, nor his hopes, nor his dreams. He was a consciousness, forever tethered to a body that could no longer sustain him. A soul condemned to an eternity of watching, waiting, and longing for a release that would never come. The horror of this realization consumed him, an endless torment of knowing that he was nothing more than a ghost in his own forsaken life. Anthony's once gleaming hope for a beautiful afterlife had turned into an eternal nightmare, one from which he would never awaken.